What's good, boys? Welcome back to the CryptoHub. Trader Mayne, how you doing, man? What country are you in right now?
Still in Spain. I'm in Ibiza right now. I was here for some of the closing parties. It was absolutely wild. I highly recommend Ibiza, especially if you live in Europe. It is crazy, but I'm definitely ready to come back to the Great White North, get back in my own bed, a little bit more routine, a little bit less drinking. But yeah, it's been a super fun trip.
Yeah, that all sounds good. I like having a routine, but at the same time, are you sure you want to come back to the market right now? We've been stuck in the same price range, dude. I think you're doing this right. We could trade spots. I mean, you synced up Ibiza with the bear market. You're doing it better than anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the chart, we've almost been going sideways for like a month straight. So good time to take a trip. Good time to get outside for sure. But I'm getting older now, man. I'm more of a homebody, like after 2 weeks away, I'm ready to get back home, get back to my, kind of my home base and my station.
I can respect that. I can certainly respect that. All right, guys, before we dive in here, a lot to talk about, some pretty insane charts. I know that the altcoins aren't moving, but we still do have a week full of news and some potential trades. We can look at when the market might break out of this range. Before we do all that, have to give a quick shout out to Syscoin for sponsoring the show. On last week, on our first episode, they gave some of you guys some money, and there might be more of those in the future. So do be sure to go check out Syscoin. The link is in the description. Even though it is a bear market, Syscoin continues to develop massive improvements to Web3 infrastructure. Their Rolex Layer 2 solution combines Bitcoin's proof of work security and also increases the transactions per second, low fees, making it the premier layer 2 solution for Web3 projects. Since 2014, Syscoin has continued to improve the protocol and blockchain technology to combine the best parts of Bitcoin and Ethereum in one single platform. So go check out Syscoin right now. Hit the link in the description. All right, so I saw a chart this week, and for the first time in Bitcoin's history, we have Bitcoin lower volatility than stocks. The stock traders have more opportunity in the market right now, dude. This is a new paradigm. This is not the paradigm we all wished for. It's just the one we're in right now. What do you make of this?
Yeah, so I mean, Bitcoin historically, I've been a big kind of proponent of, us being very tightly correlated, but Bitcoin essentially being a higher beta play in that risk asset basket. So you look at the COVID crash, for example, everything cratered, Bitcoin cratered even more. And on the recovery, Bitcoin was more reflexive. It bounced out of the bottom harder and it appreciated more than stocks. So as much as people want that correlation to go away, I don't think it has. And in fact, we're seeing kind of a negative effect of this right now, where Bitcoin has been so dry for volatility that you're actually having larger moves in the stock market. We've had a few days recently where stocks are up or down 1 or 2%, and Bitcoin's up or down half that. That's not normal. Like you said, this is the first time that's ever happened, but hopefully some volatility comes back to all markets, because it's been watching like, paint dry effectively for the last 3-4 weeks.
It's the one reassuring thing that I still expect to be true. It's always been true in the past. It doesn't mean it has to be true going forward, but just because Bitcoin is still small, it's gotten bigger, but it's still small relative to the giant traditional markets. When things do come back, I think this will be the fastest horse. And that's what makes Bitcoin and crypto and all this so attractive. It's like, this can all be shit right now. No one wants to buy, no one wants to trade. But when the world goes back to being normal a little bit, we get less geopolitical concerns, we get less talks about inflation every single day, this should still be the fastest horse. And getting long before that, I still think is the right approach, right? It's not fun right now. You're sitting there, you're watching stock traders have better trades. But I do still think this will be the fastest horse eventually.
I agree. I mean, Don Alt made a good tweet today, about if you're an investor, probably buying sub 20K is pretty good. If you're a trader, go outside, do something else, right? So that's kind of how I view it as well. I've said this before, 10 and 20K Bitcoin long-term, 500 to 1,000 ETH long-term. I think that's a good buy. But, as this next chart we're going to show you, talks about how long it actually takes for some of these cycles to resolve themselves. It can be a while. So you have to determine, what type of investment are you looking to make? Are you short-term and actively trading? Or are you looking to just kind of buy and hold and wait for when the next cycle comes?
Yeah, it was funny. It was a Fleet Week in San Francisco this past weekend. Usually when, I'm out getting drinks or hanging with friends, it always feels like I have to get back. I'm checking my phone, or I'm looking at Twitter, or I'm looking at the prices. It always feels like I can't turn off work, right? Like I'm missing something. For the first time this weekend, I'm sitting there, I'm watching these planes come over the city. Everyone's having beers, everyone goes on the roof and just enjoys the day. For the first time maybe ever, I was sitting there thinking, you know what? I got nothing going on. I think these people might have more to worry about at work. Like I could just enjoy the day. So there are some benefits to this, but it's not fun if you're trying to make money. As you said, cycles. There's an interesting chart shared by Chris Berniski, and he looked at the major Bitcoin cycles, how long they can take from when we peak to when we eventually get back to all-time highs, right? Or when the bull market kicks back in. If you go back to cycle one, like 2011, it used to be quick. Bitcoin would go up. We'd get the bubble, as people like to say. It's a tulip bubble. It's all over. We'd have this insane 90% drawdown, and it only took 600 days. That's still a long time, but it took about 600 days to get back to all-time high. If you look at the past two cycles, 2013, 2017 that everyone remembers, it is getting longer. I mean, 2017 took over 1,000 days. So from that 20K peak, it only took us, maybe a year to bottom, but it still took another almost 2 years to find a new all-time high. If you look at where we are in the current cycle, we're kind of following that same path. So it's one of those things where as people get more comfortable with Bitcoin, as more institutions adopt it, as just the holder base has gotten bigger, it takes a little bit longer for all this to filter out, right? Some people that realized maybe I'm not a long-term believer, or people that, ditch their bags, or because it's a bigger asset, it takes more buying power to get back. We're just following that same 2017 trajectory, right? So we're 400 days in. It might take another 2 years to get back to all-time highs, right? I still believe we're going there, but it's how this is playing out. You can't expect things to turn around so quick.
I mean, I agree with everything you said. Costs more to pump coin, right? That's a huge one, right? When Bitcoin only had to get back to 20,000, now we're at 20,000 and we're in the heat of the bear market. So I think all of those make sense. And then, of course, you have the hated word, the macro. We're in a stock market downtrend. We're in a recession. Whether or not they want to continue to change the definition of what that is, we are, up until a few months ago, a definable recession in the stock market. We have not seen Bitcoin exist in this type of environment, and that could add to the fact that, hey, maybe it's going to take just that much longer for things to turn around, because people are going to be that much less likely to want to be risky with their money.
Yeah, especially after what we had this week, dude. Did you see the Celsius news? This, for those of you guys that didn't see it, by the way, it was a disaster. I've come to expect this, right? We've seen funds get liquidated. We've seen companies go under. But this centralized crypto company, it's important to say that they are a centralized company. This isn't DeFi. This isn't some protocol, right? This is a centralized company. You deposit your coins, and they were giving you a yield. Everyone's familiar with that from the bull market. It looks like a lot of people got maybe too greedy with that. They were depositing all their portfolio. They were depositing a ton of coins. And what happened was Celsius, they're now bankrupt. They published all of the customer records. So you can go out there and look it up online. I don't recommend you do, but people have. You can see how much money people lost in this thing, and you can even track how much money every single customer had. It is a disaster, dude. Did you take a look at that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a massive breach in privacy. Not your keys, not your coin, right, guys? So to me, what is absolutely crazy about it is this puts a lot of people at risk, right? Like you said, not only can you see how much money someone had on Celsius, you can see their address. And with a very basic understanding of the blockchain, you can backtrack and you can identify maybe who this money belonged to. If it wasn't doxed, or if they were doxed, you can find out how much money they had, which is just nuts. One of the things I think that is, kind of the most crazy about all of this, and kind of, what do you expect? The people who were in charge and behind Celsius, they managed to not lose that much. It ended up being you, the retail consumer, who lost all your money, and the powers that be, the billionaires who are actually running this, they managed to get their money out just in time. But I said this about Anchor. I never really dealt with Anchor, and the whole Luna thing was crazy. But if you don't know where the yield is coming from, you are likely the yield. And anytime someone is promising you free yield on your money, you got to ask some questions. You got to do a little bit of digging. And it turns out this was another one of those things where there was a lot of handshake, backroom deals that you were not aware of, and you were not even sure if they were as liquid as they claimed to be, or if your money was actually secure. You had no idea. There was an opaque layer between you and Celsius, and turns out they went bankrupt, and you're kind of left holding the bag. Really sucks. So hopefully anyone who maybe got doxed by that list, hopefully stay safe out there, and everyone obviously learn your lesson for the future, right? Security is important.
You did say there's something that we need to watch this week. Some chance that we can get better. We have a news event that Bitcoin has historically been moving a lot on. It's been driving market moves, sometimes a bump, sometimes a sell-off. What do we have to look forward to this week, Bitcoin-wise, that could maybe break us out of this tight range we're trading in?
So we have CPI. So again, everyone's going to start playing the game this week. Is CPI going to be bullish? Is it going to be bearish? What does that mean for the market? So ideally, CPI being bullish would be, a no height in interest rates, at least less than the last CPI event, which I believe was 0.75 yet again. So we can hope that this injects some volatility into the market. What I hope is that whatever move comes of this, it just starts to trend. I'm a trader more so than I am an investor. I need some sort of direction and volatility, get my piece of meat, my pound of flesh out of the market. And it's very difficult when the market is so flat and going so sideways. And the last few CPI events have effectively had us spike up or down and then effectively return to the mean and then just continue to go sideways. So I'm hoping, obviously bullish is better for everyone. I'm hoping CPI is bullish and we break upwards. But at the end of the day, whichever direction we go, and this is coming out on Thursday, some sort of trend into something that you always seem to say, I don't think most of you need to watch it. I think you can just go on Twitter. You can find announcement was, you can look at the chart and you can kind of make a decision. If the announcement is bearish, maybe wait for the chart to break down support and start looking for shorts. I don't think you need to sit there and spend a couple hours a day listen to the Fed speak.
Yeah, here we go. I have a cheat code for you guys. I'm going to rephrase the message in case the previous weeks didn't make sense to you. Here's a cheat code. On Thursday, before CPI comes out, go up to the top right of whatever exchange you use, log out of the exchange, go back to Twitter, and watch all the people talk about the 1 minute move when Bitcoin will move up 1%, and it's going to go down 2%. We're going to go back up 1%. 24 hours later on Friday morning, when you open your chart, it's probably going to be at the exact same price. Log back into your exchange. There you go. You just beat 99% of people. It's this idea that's burned into my brain. One of my first jobs out of school, I was working at this wealth management shop, and they would show, it was like the average investor, how they did in versus all the asset classes. Almost every single asset class is up 5, 10, 15% every single year. The average investor was up like 2%. The reason the average investor underperforms everything is because they look at some crazy news event that happened, and when things drop, they would sell, and then when things move up, they would buy. And you're getting squeezed on 1 or 2% all the time. Like, it is so easy to beat the average right now just by holding your coins, right? Like, not doing anything, not trying to focus on these macro news that you have no edge doing. So there's a little cheat code for you. Don't lose money on CPI and you're doing pretty well, because what we've seen the past couple of weeks, we see a move, we see it retrace, and then 2 or 3 days later, people aren't even worried about CPI and it's at the exact same price. So something to consider there. Yes, it's exciting. It could break us out of the range. I hope I'm finally wrong. But I don't know, man. You see it so many times, and
we're pretty close. We're pretty close to the price of the last CPI event. I think we're trading right around 19K anyways. So sometimes the best trade is no trade, guys. And if you believe that Bitcoin is going to cycle again, like Luke and I do, we do think there's going to be another bull run. The last thing you want to do is give away coins unnecessarily when we're 70% off of all-time high. This is when you want to be either holding on to what you got and making plans to maybe accumulate more at a discount. The very last thing you want to do is give back some coins when we're this far away from all-time high.
So that's just it's just a winning strategy right now, and it's something where you can try it a ton of times. Trade the news event, you lose 1%, you don't think it matters, but when things are 10x higher, you're going to wonder, man, if I would have had half a Bitcoin more, if I would have had 0.1 Bitcoin, whatever it is, right? Those numbers do get bigger.
The things that keep me up at night are the Bitcoins I lost back when it was trading at $3,000. You have no idea how painful that is. Those Bitcoins would still be up like 5+X now. So don't be that guy.
I've wiped that from my memory, dude. I try not to think about all the 0.02s or the 0.05s that I was like, oh, what is that? $10, $50?
I used to play poker. With Bitcoin. Online poker. Just shipping entire coins to some random sketchy website. Horrendous.
Thankfully, I'm up in my online poker career, but we used to play a pretty big game on Twitter. We'd have Charlie Lee, Chris Botafoura, Peter McCormick, all these guys. And I look back at the buy-in. I think we were playing with 0.2. Like, obviously, you buy it a couple times. It was a couple of Bitcoin on the table, and you're having beers. I mean, we didn't even care. And then price goes up in the bull market, and I'm like, oh, my God, what was I doing? But, poker's fun. It keeps you busy in the bull market. You probably lose less than trying to trade CPI. So something to at least consider. There's some news. Mayne, was there any altcoins? Am I missing any altcoins that moved up this week? I always try to highlight those if there is anything worth moving, but I don't think I saw it. I think XRP was still going up slightly. You have BNB obviously always making all-time highs versus Bitcoin, but there's nothing that stood out, or was there?
Not really for me. I mean, listen, guys, if you're still charting altcoins because you are holding bags from way higher, I'm praying for you, man, because it is a bear market. And a lot of these altcoins are getting absolutely smashed. I think the last thing you want to be doing right now is trying to, eke out some sort of bullish thesis on some altcoin you're holding from way higher. If you want to chart altcoins saying, hey, I think these are altcoins I want to accumulate for the next bull run, absolutely. But I think in terms of just trading right now, it's as dry as Bitcoin. It's as dry as Ethereum right now. There's not a lot of action there happening on the trading front. And I don't think now is the place to be potentially putting in huge bets for altcoins. Generally, what you want to see happen is Bitcoin stabilize and then even start to look bullish, right, before you start putting in your money into altcoins. Because generally what happens is Bitcoin sucks the liquidity out of the market. Those alt BTC pairs break down, which means the alt versus USD is going to underperform Bitcoin anyways. So if you're looking to bottom fish on alt, I think you want to have Bitcoin show some strength first to get an idea that maybe the general trend of the market is turning around. And I've said this before, go look at the altcoins that did well last cycle. Most of them were new markets, new areas, new Ponzi's that got spun up. Those are probably going to be the altcoins that do the best next run too. You're going to look at a lot of the big movers from this cycle, and they're going to underperform the new stuff, just like it happened before. If you were invested in any 2017 alts, you underperformed all of DeFi, right? So that's always kind of my non-financial advice to people. If they're like, hey, I want to buy Solana because I think Solana is going to go crazy next bull run. It might, but I bet you there's a really good chance that something new comes out that goes even crazier. You might be better off researching what those new trends may be.
Yeah, and that's also a silver lining, though. I mean, a lot of the good ideas haven't happened yet for when things return, right? Like, you don't even have to be studying. I think it pays right now to look at some new altcoins and to study them and see what can be big next cycle. But right now, it's trying to track whether EOS or whether Tron or whatever is outperforming XRP. It's just you're trying to pick up such a small percent. Some of the big ideas, you'll notice it, right? Everyone's going to talk about it. It's going to be going up for a week or two. And things in crypto, when they go up for a week or two, they tend to go up for 6 months or a year, right? Like it's not a game right now of trying to decide the day they start going up. You can be a little late because when things start going up, then you have a pretty big window.
Well, I will say one thing. XRP BTC looks okay. So do whatever you want with that information, but XRP versus BTC and ETH, other than BNB, which we've talked about in previous episodes as well, it's one of the few coins right now, XRP, that looks good versus both BTC and Ethereum on the high time frame chart. Like if you look at the weekly chart of XRP versus Bitcoin or Ethereum, it looks kind of good. Does that mean that it is going to break out? I don't know for sure, but if you're looking for one coin, you say, okay, maybe this is something that's going to outperform, because if your altcoin doesn't look good versus BTC over Ethereum, you're wasting your time. Stop looking at it for now.
We said that a couple of weeks ago, and it is strange when XRP is the one good looking coin in the market, but it's just the world we're living in. Apparently the market is clued in. They are focused on whether or not that case evolves. And we need some XRP Army jerseys. I've seen BitBoy rock those on the stream, dude. I think, a couple weeks of this, if XRP keeps looking good, I'm going to join the XRP Army. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, but XRP, people are going to get mad we're talking about it. It's the one chart that looks decent. I'm not telling you to go buy it.
Go hashtag XRP on Twitter. They still exist. The Army is still there.
Okay, good stuff. Well, if the Army's here, welcome, guys. We're joining. We'll see if they'll have us.
We'll just put it in the title of this video. XRP, XRP, XRP.
I can't do that. I can't stoop that low. Before we wrap, we always do this. I like to give some people some ideas on what we can be looking at this week. If there's anything, if you're just going to be in Ibiza hitting the parties, then maybe we don't have to talk about levels. But is there a level worth looking at for Bitcoin? Last week we talked about if we get above 20K, then maybe we get up to 21.5. The breakout just kind of fizzled, and it happened to ETH. It happened to everything. Is there anything that you're looking to trade this week at all? I'm not going to fault you if there isn't, because as you said, you're in Ibiza, but is there anything?
So last week we talked about being long at 19.1, 19.2. We had that little pop. We got close. We had a little bit of a breakup, but I round tripped my longs completely, guys. I did try and take another long yesterday, or it was the day before. The days are starting to get blurry here. But I did post it on Twitter, right? I said, hey, when we were at 20K, I said, look, I'm looking in the long around 19.3, 19.4. We came in, had a nice little SFP, and I longed it. As you saw today, we actually went below that low down to like 19 or 19.1. So I got stopped out again. What I would be doing right now, I'm going to be traveling for the next 2 days. So I probably won't be taking any trades. I say that now until I whip up my phone on airplane and log into the Wi-Fi and ape into something dumb. But I would be marking out Monday's range. The reason I like Monday's range is today is Monday. It gives you something to work with in terms of range levels. So you look at the weekly open, you look at Monday's range, and what you're going to see is both of those levels are effectively at that 19K floor. So any sort of dip below Monday's range low and then a reclaim, I think could be a long opportunity. Or if we're able to hold Monday's low, then there could maybe be a long opportunity. I'm keeping targets super tight. If I'm getting long near Monday's low, I'm aiming for Monday's high. And if the volatility is as low as we've been saying, that's not a very big move. So keep that in mind. If we get below the weekly open, if we get below Monday's low, I'm probably going to be looking for shorts for the rest of the week, or looking for opportunities to get short going into CPI.
Got it. And for the non-traders in there that are trying to wrap their head around what the hell we just said, you can think about it like this. If Bitcoin is not moving much, then you would assume that it's going to continue trading in the same area that it traded to start the week, right? So if it gets to the low part of that area, maybe if you can take a small trade, right? You can get long. If we start trading towards the high side of that area, maybe it makes sense to take some profits if you did buy earlier. So it's just the assumption that if we're stuck in this range, Bitcoin's been at 18K to 20K now for almost a month. If we keep doing that, you can play that small zone if you want, but I wouldn't expect, it's not the time right now to buy 18K, set your target at 30K, and then have a 1% loss. You're going to get stopped out every time.
Yeah, this is not a strategy for investors. This is something I used a ton in Forex. It does work in Bitcoin. You want to do a cool experiment. You want to go back test, go to the daily chart, go mark off previous Mondays. So you just go to your daily chart, take the high and the low, put a line on it, then zoom in to the lower time frame and just see, does price go below, and then does it continue the rest of the week down, or does it get above and then have a bullish week? And that's something you can add to your journal, take some notes, and start observing.
There it is, a little bit of a sneak peek. As I've said, I'm going to keep the exact same strategy the past 2 weeks. I just don't think there's anything worth trading. I do think XRP is worth watching, as we mentioned, but my strategy for Thursday, I gave you guys the secret, man. Log out before the CPI and just enjoy the charts on Twitter. I'm sure we'll pump 2%. Maybe we drop back down. It's fun to watch, but I don't think there's much meat to scalp off that move. Mayne, appreciate you tuning in, man. Taking a little break from the Euro trip. It's going to be nice to have you back at the normal studio. But for you, all you guys watching, appreciate you guys tuning in. This is our second show on the Mayne channel. Be sure you subscribe to this. We're going to keep growing. I think Syscoin, our partner, is going to keep giving away some money for you guys tuning in. Hopefully that helps out in a bear market. So subscribe, drop some comments if you want anything covered. We didn't feature anyone in this week's episode, but we will next week. So drop a comment if you want a coin, an idea, a level for Bitcoin, any questions you have. We will be sure to cover it on next week's show. Appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of the week. Mayne, enjoy Ibiza, and we'll chat soon, brother.
See you guys soon. Bye.